get to the other side here. I like it. Okay, well, I think I like it. Okay, what I've done here, and I know you can't see it because it's a pencil, is I've marked the width of this plywood to the same width of the inside walls, minus 1/16 of an inch. That'll give you a little bit of room to play around with. Now I'm going to take the jigsaw and cut it. Trim anything off for the outside. This is for the inside. Okay, this is for the inside. Hey, would you hold this for me? Okay, so I know lighting's terrible. I'm trying to work through this quickly. I told you to take a 1/16 of an inch off, but actually I'll mark a 1/16 of an inch and I'll cut on the inside of that line, so you're actually getting about 1/8 of an inch, which will give you about a 1/16 of an inch on each side. And then it goes in real easy. There's trim that you can buy that will cover that, so it's not a big deal. So now I'm going to push it back up in there. I got some bigger clamps and I'm going to clamp it on this last spar. This don't need to be super tight. It'll tighten up as we go along. Okay, so now that's clamped loosely, you can see there's a gap on each side and it's no big deal. We can cover it, and by the time you put the spacers in between the spars, you're not going to see it anyways. And then you got the insulation and another layer on the top, so you're never going to see it. And it'll be no harm, no foul. So now I'm going to get in there and I'm going to secure the bottom with 4 screws just to keep it where we need it. And then I'm going to take a spar, an extra spar that I have cut. I marked the spars on the inside wall, the roof spars. I'm going to take that, set it up there so I can get it to push all the way up against that spar. Run out there and glue it on the other side, come back in here and hit it with a staple gun. And I take the spar, there's a mark here on the wall where the spar is, and a mark here. I'm going to drop this just below them marks. Take my staples and my staple gun. There, do 2 more, come back in here, secure 2 more. So the next step is get you a piece of plywood. We're going to fill in all these gaps, so these gaps will disappear and get all the structure finished. So what we're going to do now, get you a piece of plywood that you have, clamp it to the side of the camper, and you're going to trace a line. This is just a piece of scrap that I happen to have laying around. Okay, so now I've got that marked. I'm going to take it off, take it to bandsaw and cut it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a section out of this so I don't have to deal with that. It's not the sharpest blade that I have. Probably should just change it, but I want to make sure I at least give myself 1.5 inches because I know that's the thickness. So now I'm going to finish it off with the bandsaw on the line that we originally marked. Set this to 1.5 inches because we know that's how thick your ceiling is. I have the gate open. People like to walk through when they see me building. So then I got it set to 1.5 inches. I'm just going to take this and go ahead and clamp it real quick. And we'll go ahead and mark 1.5 inches all the way down through. Now we can cut that out. now I've got it clamped in place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tool here, and I'm going to rest this tool on the spar. I went over this in another video. You're going to mark this edge on this edge so you can get that angle just right. You can do that on both sides. Make sure it's flat on the spar and that you're marking the same surface that's it's laying on. There we go. Let me show you what I'm doing. Taking this that I made, what I do is I lay that up against the spar like this, nice and flat. Make sure that it's flat here and here. I'll take and push that over, and then because this back section here is sitting on the spar, you mark the back section on this side as well, and that's going to get you a pretty close line to where you need to be. Now this one is just the opposite. It's sitting flat on the spar, as you can see here. This is the surface that's sitting on the edge of the spar, so this is the surface that we want to mark. This comes out. These will fit on the other side in between the spars to help them not to twist, even though the pocket screws are there, and they'll do that too. And it also gives you another screw surface on top for the trim when you put the trim on after you skin it, and it also gives you more surface area to attach your inside interior wood skin. So that's why I do that. I'll glue and screw them in place and call it a day. If you do this right the first time, you can actually take the ones that you make to the other side, so you only have to do all this process once. It should fit the other side too if you did everything right when you put your spars in, by making sure you have equal space in between your spars. So you might need to trim a little bit, but it's pretty much going to go in. So alright, I'm going to go over to the bandsaw, cut this out, and I'll bring you back and show you what I mean. As you can see, we got them all. Here's, put them on the inside. Now you got twice the amount of room on this side to screw to, and you have some screw surface behind it. It's also filling that gap that on the side of the inside skin. Now if you've done everything correctly, you should be able to take this over there to the other side, and it should fit there. So that means you would only have to trace these, so instead of going through that whole process again. So let's find out. Put it over here, and look at there. It fits. It's a little looser on this side, and that's fine. So we're just looking for the screw surface and the inside surface to attach to. So let's make some more and install them. So now we're just going to trace them. You can cut them out real easy, just using whatever scrap I have. I'm labeling them as I go, and which way is up. Get these out of the way, cut these out. Now all the filler pieces are in. So now we can go on to the inside and tack all the inside, the skin along the edges, and then we can come back out here and start running electricity. I've laid out my wiring here. Now this one's going to be an extremely basic camper. So I know I've got one circuit for the Fantastic fan. I've got here, I've added, you can kind of see the wires, I've added the light for the inside, and then I have one light going to the outside on the curb side for the exterior light. Any other 12 volt will be in the back cabinet or in a galley, and the converter will be back there, so it'll be really easy. So the whole thing was just to lay it out and get the wire in. Now I'm going to put wire loom on this before I drop the insulation in, just to kind of keep it protected. Now this is going to be hard because I got a light behind you so you guys can see, but there it is. So then what I'll do is I'll take my oscillating tool and I'll remove all that material. I'll just go about halfway through and remove that material. That way you've got a nice place for your wire to run.